So, good morning again, or good day. And today we'll continue with the mostly sitting meditation, and not going to do any guided meditation, with the idea that it's valuable to just sit with oneself as we are. Guided meditations can kind of change the context of sitting, and which is often valuable, but it's also valuable to spend some time just sitting quietly without any input. But I would like to read, quote a couple of things from the Buddha that pertain to what the topic is for today and for the Dharma talk. Someone comes to the Buddha, a man named Udaya, and it kind of refers to the idea of remembering past lives and knowing future lives or something like that. And that other teachers somehow, this relates to other teachers in India at that time. And the Buddha responds to him this way: let the past be. Let be the past. Let be the future. I shall teach you the Dhamma. So this is an important, very important little phrase. Put aside concerns about the past, about the future. If you want the Dhamma, the Dharma, here, listen to this. When this exists, that comes to be. With the arising of this, that arises. When this does not exist, it does not come to be. With the cessation of this, that ceases. This is considered to be the teaching of dependent arising. And rather than explaining it, the important point of this is that in the present, now, put aside the past and the future. Sit, you'll see the Dharma. If you see the river of time, the flow of change, here and now, how one thing leads to another, one thing sets the stage for something else to occur. One way or the other, things are arising and they're passing. They appear and they disappear. And some of that is that the thing itself, a sound, comes and goes. And some of it has to do with how we experience something. So if I'm holding this book and just holding it, the book doesn't disappear just like that. But my awareness, my attention to the book shifts and changes as it goes to my words that I'm speaking, to holding the book, to thinking about other things here in the room, and all kinds of things that can happen. And so this idea of staying in the place of arising and passing, coming and going, here, now. A fascinating teaching the Buddha gave is, he said, he said, to avoid the idea. He didn't say it's not true, but just to avoid the idea that things exist and that things do not exist. For someone who sees that that things appear, they can't say that things don't exist. For those who see that things disappear, cannot say that they exist. If you live in this world of the alternative to positing existence and non-existence, is again this world that we live in, the world of experience, the world of how we perceive this world. It comes and goes. So now, one of the things you might do in this sitting is very gently, lovingly to yourself, as you may be at the every exhale or every inhale, whichever you like, say the word now. But say the word now, so that it becomes a time to know. Now, know now. This that comes and goes now. So with that, we'll sit quietly. Thank you. And then as we come to the end of this sitting, I'd like to evoke the wisdom of 3 questions and answers that one form or the other are repeated in many wisdom traditions. And the first question is, when is the most important time? And the answer is now. Who is the most important person? Whoever is present. So if you're with someone else, it might be them. If you're alone, it's yourself. And what's the most important thing? To not obstruct the openness of your heart. To keep your heart open and not have it dim or obscured by thoughts, stories, opinions. And so we come to the end of this sitting. And the important time is now. The most important person is each of us, individually and as a collective. And the important thing is to keep the heart open. And may it be that as we move out into the world and end this meditation, that the meditation reminds us, reinforces for us the possibility of keeping and staying with an open heart, a loving heart, a heart that's ready to delight in others, to love others, to care for others. And may it be that as we go forth in this meditation, we carry with us an attitude expressed in these words. May all beings be happy. May all beings be safe. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings be free. Thank you. So, this week we're reviewing again, or going through again, these 5 qualities of the Dharma. It's in part the teachings of the Buddha, this famous saying that we're kind of relying on is the Dharma is well spoken by the Buddha. So something well-spoken, beneficial, helpful. And the Dharma, as a teaching, points to something here and now. And the teaching and what we awaken to are inseparable. What we enter into in this practice is inseparable. And kind of a simplistic way of saying these 5 qualities is the first is about the Dharma is here, unequivocally here. It is, and today, the second one, it is now. The third one is that it's Dharma instructs us to look. The fourth one is flow along. And the fifth one is feel the flowing along, feel the freedom, know the freedom in this being flowing along with here and now and the present. So here, now, look, flow along, feel freedom. So today is now, akaliko, and it's what's immediate, what's present for us in this present moment, for however long it lasts for us, the now that we can live in. And one of the ways to appreciate the value of it is how easy it is to lose touch with it. And meditation is one of the benefits, and one of the things to celebrate about meditation is how it shows us how we don't meditate very well. Rather than seeing our ability to not be present as a problem for meditation, meditation is to highlight for us how the mind works, and we get to see how much the mind departs the present moment. One of the ways to do it to see is the thinking mind. So, for example, there's the retrospective thinking. It's hard to think about the past. There's anticipatory thinking about the future. And you can feel ourselves leaning into those, or being, I like to think of them as we're lingering in our thoughts. And as we linger in these thoughts, there's a way in which we no longer linger in the present. We're no longer present for now, as it unfolds, as it's present. And so something as simple as being with your breathing in and breathing out. Breathing is always in the present. And then you can find yourself thinking about something and no longer in touch with the breathing, or hardly in touch with it. And you can actually feel the quality of losing touch, of lingering in those thoughts. And those thoughts might feel rich and valuable and important and substantial, but they aren't. They are ephemeral, impermanent, changing, fickle. And it's possible to be so centered in the present, together with our thinking, that we don't linger in them. They just feel like loose and light and soft and kind of coterminous with space. Just thoughts floating through. Now, here and now. We're not tricked into them. We know them as present moment things. And one of the really wonderful aspects of meditation as well, mindfulness meditation, is when there's really a clear grounding, clear sense that when I'm thinking about the past, the thinking is happening in the present. When I'm thinking about the future, the thinking is a present moment phenomenon. When I'm involved in fantasy, the fantasy is a present moment phenomenon. So the repetition of the word now in meditation, just now, or the sense of now, here, now, not to dismiss or deny anything, but to wake up to, oh, this is what the present moment experience is. We don't have to be at war with our thoughts. We don't have to be at war with thinking about the past and the future. But at least in meditation, to discover how much thinking takes us away from the flow, the connection to here and now. And so, and then learning to wake up to, oh, this is the flavor of now. There's this thinking. And the thinking, in seeing it this way, is now. We're not tricked into the living in the past, living in the future in our thoughts. We just see, oh, I'm thinking about it. And maybe we begin feeling the insubstantial nature of thoughts, the lightness of thoughts. Thoughts can feel very heavy, and they can feel very light. But they're not heavy by themselves. They're heavy by our involvement with them, our lingering in them, our leaning into them. By themselves, thoughts are very light. Thoughts are coterminous with space. They have as much substance as the sky. Sky-like thinking. So to come here and be now, and here and now, this is where then we can start recognizing how we obscure or dim or narrow the openness and sensitivity of our love, of our delight, our appreciation, our friendliness, our love, our care. And we have such potential now for the beautiful qualities to come out. And as I said last night in a talk, we get caught up in so many different things in our life that seem so important. And we lose touch so easily with what is most important. To be present here for this life with a full attention. It might not seem important, it might seem dull and boring. From the point of view of the mind that's spinning and chasing and wanting things and not wanting things and protecting the self, it might seem that way, that just being present is not much of interest. But to do the thought experiment, that if you know that you have only 1 hour to live, you're dying. And maybe you'll be fortunate to die consciously and without any pain. But clearly you know you're dying. This is the time. And during that time, would you suddenly realize how important it is to go back to your 2009 tax returns because you think you paid too much and you need to fill out paperwork in order to get the $350 back that is yours after all. The last hour of your life, you probably won't, that's not what's the most important thing. The last hour of your life, probably not the most important thing is to start planning vacations, planning for the future in some way and anticipating things. You realize it's not happening, there's no point. To that last hour, what's important? And I would like to propose that to really find the wealth of life, the potential beauty of life, to at that time, to really know how to be present, to be here and now. There's a way in which that hour becomes timeless. That hour is not part of time. The idea that an hour away you will be dead doesn't have to have any relevance. In the fullness of just now, this moment, where love can flow, where delight, where freedom can be, where the heart is not dimmed, where the heart is not obscured, where these thoughts that are heavy don't get in the way, don't interfere, but where simply looking out the window and seeing the leaves in the trees blow in the wind can seem like looking at paradise, at jewels, Not because it is, you've seen it many times before, but the quality of now and presence is so rich and so unobscured and so unencumbered by the things that dim it, that keep it from seeing the sparkle. So now, akaliko, immediate here, to be seen in this life, to be seen here, to be seen now. This is the Dharma of the Buddha. And so I'd like to recommend that for this day, that you carry with you the English word now. And if you want to do some little, I like to play word games, letter games. And if you take the first two words of now, know, and think of the W as being the first letter of another word. So now would stand for no waiting. No waiting. Just now. And no wishing. Just now. Now. So to carry that with you, and not that you're able to stay in the now, but as I said at the beginning of this little talk, this mindfulness meditation is not so much about being successful and being mindful in the way we might think of being now, but in saying now, seeing more clearly what you are doing now. We're so much an automatic pilot, so much carried away by our thoughts and involved in things. We don't really see in some higher quality way what we're actually doing now. So this word now, show up for yourself. See what's happening here. Don't be an automatic pilot. And when you're now, what is the most important thing? What would be the most important thing if you had only one more hour to live? And I hope you can do this exercise for many hours. So thank you very much. And I want to make one announcement. And I'll make it again, but I wanted to make sure that a number of you can hear it, in case you're not here when I announce it again. So for the next 3 weeks after this week, starting on Sunday, I will be on retreat, teaching 3-week retreat. And so I won't be able to do these 7 a.m.s. The last week that I'm away, Matthew Brent-Silver will come back and teach. I wasn't able to find someone for the next 2 weeks. The people are on retreat, doing all kinds of things that I normally would invite. And so what we're going to do is to replay the 2 weeks of these sittings and Dharma talks that I did in December of 2020. A week on loving kindness and a week on compassion. And I think these are quite important topics, and so I think that the topics are still fresh, even though the talks are almost 2 years old. And so that's the plan. And so you won't, some of you might not even notice that I'm not here, because I think it'll be replayed in a way that looks like it's fresh, though you'll see that I'm younger, maybe longer hair or something. So thank you, and I look forward to tomorrow.